pole shifts and all these kind of things. So, yeah, these are starting to hit really, really close to home. I mean, I live here in Kansas, and there was a story about how there was one in Kansas, like last week. So, do I believe that what's going to happen in the future, resurrection of the dead, is kind of being forecast now through these earthquakes? And I think the answer is yes, because, as you say, Jesus predicted that there would be earthquakes in various places, and that these would be birth pains before the time of the end. And as we know with natural birth pains, when they start happening, the contractions start, and the time between the contractions gets less and less and less as time moves closer to the birth. And so if we can see earthquakes and volcanoes and things like this, the earth erupting and shaking and things going on underneath the surface of the earth that show us that these birth pains are getting quicker in between, then I think, yes, that we are to take these as signs of the end. And this was actually a major part of my book when I analyzed the tsunami event of December 26, 2004 in the island of Sumatra. And I believe that this event was a major type or example of what could take place in the future with the future global catastrophe and the resurrection in many, many different ways. For example, I believe that the people that perished in this awful event, many of them were not found, okay? Many of them were just classified as missing, right? After a certain amount of time, they said, you know what, if we're not able to account for these people that we know were in this area after 1 year has passed, then we're just going to declare them as being perished in this catastrophe. Right now they're missing, but if we can't find them, then we're going to consider them to be dead. Now, I can see this being a great, plausible explanation for the disappearance of people in the future at the rapture, those who are living and remaining going missing. If these people go missing in the midst of a global catastrophe, there's going to be chaos and confusion reigning everywhere. And I can see that these people that disappear could be considered missing. You know what? I can't find my mom. I can't find my dad. Well, they're just going to have to be considered missing in this catastrophe. Because, if we can't find them, and I think this is a great explanation, because a lot of people reject the rapture because they think, oh, come on, people are going to be driving along in their car, and then all of a sudden, the car goes off the road, there's no driver behind it because they're raptured, or, somebody's laying in bed, and then they're raptured, and their clothes are left laying in the bed, something like that. And that really doesn't have to be the case. I mean, like I said, if there's a catastrophe, there's going to be a lot of chaos and confusion. I don't think the current communication system that we have on the globe is going to be functioning after there's an electrical, energetic, supernatural catalyst that comes into our natural 3D world and is going to be able to disrupt things. It's going to put satellites out of commission. I mean, it's going to put cell towers. It's going to fry cell towers. I mean, this kind of power. You know what? I'm going to have to read a verse because that brought to mind when I started talking about the power of the resurrection. In Ephesians 1:19 and 20, Paul gives a description of the power that was on display when just one person, Jesus Christ, was raised from the dead to an immortal body. Here's what he said. And what is the incomparable greatness of his power toward us who believe, as displayed in the exercise of his immense strength? This power he exercised in Christ when he raised him from the dead and seated him at the right hand in the heavenly realms. So Paul says, listen, there was a great amount of power that was on display when Jesus Christ was raised. And by the way, I believe that power can be seen in the Shroud of Turin, because I believe that is a photograph of the actual resurrection moment. And that's another thing that I dedicate quite a bit of time to in my book. But now, I don't believe that it's necessary to, believe that the shroud is real in order to be a Christian or anything like that. I just think it's a natural result of things that happen in our world, and of something great that happened in our world, and there happened to be a linen shroud on top of it when it happened. But
although there has been some controversy around it, right? They tried to say it was an artist who painted it.
Yeah. That kind of that has been shot down easily. There's all kinds of supernatural 3D, three-dimensional qualities to the shroud that definitely can't be just explained by an artist or by any of the other things that they try to say. But yeah, I go into a lot of detail on that in my book, so I think people will find that really, really interesting when they read that. But again, going back to the power that's on display, I think it's going to disrupt our natural world. It's going to change the globe forever, not only physically, but again with the satellites, with the cell towers, with all the kinds of communication that we have. I believe that's going to be shut down, at least for a period of time. And therefore, communication about people missing is going to be only by word of mouth. It's not going to be something they can turn on TV and find out information about, right? And I believe that actually America could be completely and thoroughly destroyed in this global catastrophe.
Because it's not really in Bible prophecy, is it? I mean, we talk about the European Union rising and the Roman Catholic Church, but not USA.
That's right. You do see Jerusalem. You do see the Middle East, because the two witnesses, which I believe is a future event, are killed in the city of Jerusalem. And so we at least know that Jerusalem survives this. But I believe that there is so much. There's actually a supervolcano, which is Yellowstone National Park in America, and it's just a massive chamber, and there's been a lot of interesting and abnormal activity at Yellowstone National Park lately in the last few years that the scientists are not able to explain, okay? And they believe in the past that this thing erupted in a massive event that put toxic ash all over the continent. And if it were to happen again, it would wipe out a great portion of the United States. So if you have this shaking of the earth at the resurrection with God's power and his voice, the voice of the trumpet of God shaking the earth, and all the energy that's unleashed at the resurrection, I can see that the Yellowstone magma would be energized enough to erupt. I can also see easily that the San Andreas Fault in California would be erupting. I can also see, the New Madrid Fault, which is in the center of the country around the Illinois,
St. Louis, Missouri area.
Yeah, the Missouri area.
Yeah, that's where I think got us a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. I can see that whole situation erupting and the fault line collapsing. And you can think about all the other things that could be happening. The plates, tectonic plates, the oceanic plates shifting, perhaps the Gulf of Mexico flooding the Mississippi River. Just all kinds of things that could be happening. And also tsunamis could be devastating the coastlines. We have major cities on the coastlines. We just had one 9.3 earthquake that wiped out entire coastlines back in 2004. What happens when the major global event takes place in the future, if this is going to be a global catastrophe, the resurrection? What's going to happen when that happens? Is there going to be even more tsunamis, more eruptions,